it's Katie, and this is Paraclete.
There are 3 steps to multiplying fractions. The first step is to multiply the top numbers, or the numerators. The second step is to multiply the bottom numbers, or the denominators. And then the third step is to simplify only if needed. One example of multiplying fractions is 1/2 times 2 over 5. And to do that, you multiply the top numbers first, so 1 times 2 over 2 times 5. And when you multiply those out, it would be 2 over 10, and then you do the third step, simplify, and you'd get 1 over 5. What I'm first drawing in the picture is 2/5, which is 2 out of the 5 triangles are shaded in, and then when I multiply the 2/5 by 1/2, it's actually going to be dividing the triangles that we already drew. And so the answer would be one of those triangles, which is half of the 2 that we originally drew. So the next example for multiplying fractions is multiplying with whole numbers. And so the example I'm giving is 3 over 2 times 5. And so what you're going to do is you're going to make the 5 over 1, and that's a rule, that's just something to always remember. Any number over 1 equals that number. And so 2 over 3 times 5 over 1, you're going to multiply the 2 times 5 over 3 times 1, and the answer is going to end up 10 over 3. Next, we're going to multiply fractions with mixed numbers. And so how you convert a mixed number to an improper fraction, so that's when you get rid of the whole number and just make it a fraction, is you multiply the denominator with the whole number, and then you add the answer you get to the numerator. So I drew it out here. So 3 and 1/2. You multiply the 2 times 3, that is 6, plus 1 equals 7. So 7 over 2. And you're going to always keep the denominator. The same thing goes for 2 and 1/6. So once we get our improper fractions, it's going to be 7 over 2 times 13 over 6, and the answer is going to end up 91 over 12. Next, we're moving on to dividing fractions. The first step is to turn the second fraction upside down, and that's going to be called a reciprocal. The second step is to multiply the fraction with the new reciprocal. The third step is to simplify only if needed. The first example of dividing fractions is 1/2 divided by 6 over 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to flip the second fraction so it becomes the reciprocal. And when you flip 6 over 1, it becomes 1 over 6. So you're going to multiply 1 over 2 times 1 over 6. And that is going to end up being 1 over 12. The second example is 1 over 8 divided by 1 over 4. So same thing, you're going to flip the second fraction, so it's the reciprocal. So the 1/4 is going to end up being 4 over 1. So you're going to multiply 1 over 8 times 4 over 1, and that's going to end up 4 over 8, or 1/2, when you simplify. So now we're going to divide fractions with whole numbers in it. And so remember that any number over 1 equals that same number. So the 5 that's shown in the example is the same thing as 5 over 1. And so since it's the second fraction, we're going to flip it to make it the reciprocal, and it becomes 1 over 5. So now we're going to multiply 2 over 3 times 1 over 5. And that answer is going to end up being 2 over 15. The second example for whole number fractions shows 3 divided by 1/4. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put the 3 over 1, and then we're going to flip the second fraction to make it the reciprocal. So you're going to be multiplying 3 over 1 times 4 over 1, and that ends up being 12 over 1, or 12. So now we're going to be dividing with mixed numbers. So we're going to have to change the mixed numbers into improper fractions. And remember how you do it. You multiply the denominator with the whole number and then add it to the numerator. So in this case, you're going to multiply 2 times 3 equals 6 plus 1 equals 7, so 7 over 2. And then 6 times 2 equals 12 plus 4 equals 16, so 16 over 6. So now we have 7 over 2 divided by 16 over 6. And to divide fractions, remember we have to flip the second fraction. So this reciprocal is going to be 6 over 16. So we're going to multiply 7 over 2 times 6 over 16, which is going to end up being 42 over 32. And once we simplify, it will be 21 over 16. So here are some tricks for simplifying fractions. So the first example that's given is 1 over 2 times 2 over 5, which was an example that we used earlier in this video. But one thing you can remember is that if there are two numbers that are diagonal, that are the same, you can cancel them out because they're both going to equal 1. So the answer would just be 1/5. For the second example, when you convert the mixed numbers to improper fractions, it's going to end up being 7 over 2 times 16 over 6. And so you can simplify the 2 with 16. And so when you cancel it out, the 2 becomes a 1, the 16 becomes an 8. But you can still simplify more. So you can take 2 out of 8 and 6. So then when you divide 8 divided by 2, that'll be 4. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that'd be 4 over 3. So now you just multiply across the numerator. So 7 times 4 is 28. And then the denominator, 1 times 3, is 3. Alright, that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching.